Today on Inquirer, over 100 Chinese vessels remain in the West Philippine Sea according to the Philippine Coast Guard. President Bongbong Marcos expresses his concern over China's continued acts of aggression in the West Philippine Sea.
How concerned are you with the continued provocation from China?
As concerned as you could possibly be. It is one of the major issues that we have to face tackle.
Metro Manila's COVID-19 positivity rate climbs to 18.8% according to OCTA Research. And Los Angeles Lakers top Golden State Warriors in Game 1. Good evening. Over a week since they were last spotted, more than 100 suspected Chinese maritime militia ships and 2 China Coast Guard vessels remain in the West Philippine Sea. Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson for West Philippine Sea Affairs, Commodore J. Tariela, says that the Chinese maritime militia vessels have been staying in the vicinity of Julian Felipe Reef since April 22. Meanwhile, the 2 China Coast Guard vessels remain in Ayungin Shoal since April 23.
Based on our monitoring, sir, the Chinese Coast Guard vessels remain in Ayungin Shoal. Ito yung China Coast Guard 5201 and China Coast Guard 4202. With regard naman sa Chinese Maritime Militia that we were able to document last April 22, yung more than 100, the numbers still remain. There are still more than 100 Chinese Maritime Militia in Julian Felipe.
On April 23, 2 China Coast Guard vessels intercepted Philippine Coast Guard ships conducting maritime patrols in the vicinity of Ayungin Shoal. China's action were anchored on its assertion that it owns almost all of the areas in the South China Sea, including parts of the West Philippine Sea. In 2016, the United Nations-backed Permanent Court of Arbitration invalidated China's claim to almost the entire South China Sea. President Bongbong Marcos expresses apprehension over China's continued acts of aggression in the South China Sea as he meets with U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris during his official visit. To tell us more, here's Daphne Galvez reporting live from Washington, D.C. Daphne, how is the visit of President Marcos going so far?
Good morning, Neil. Among the topics discussed in the visit of President Marcos here in Washington is the possible trilateral cooperation with the U.S., Japan, and Australia. The Philippines and the U.S. believe that they share the same views on, The Philippines and the U.S. believe that Japan and Australia share their views on regional security. According to a joint statement after their bilateral meeting, President Bongbong Marcos and U.S. President Joe Biden agreed to strengthen bilateral alliance and expand regional collaboration on areas of peace and security. The joint statement said that 2 leaders welcome cooperation with partners that share U.S. and the Philippines' commitment to international law and mutual respect. No details on the bilateral cooperation were revealed, but Philippine Ambassador to the U.S. Jose Manuel Romualdez has said that joint patrols involving the Philippines, the U.S., Japan, and Australia are possible. On Tuesday, President Marcos said he is concerned, as one can possibly be, with China's continued provocation in the South China Sea, saying it is one of the major issues faced by the Philippines. He issued the remark as U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris and Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff welcomed him and First Lady Liza to their official residence here for a meeting.
How concerned are you with the continued provocation from China?
As concerned as you could possibly be. It is one of the major issues that we have to face tackle.
And do you believe cooperation with the Vice President and President Biden will get you closer to protecting the region?
Well, cooperation with the United States certainly is something that we are building upon that has been going on for many, many, many decades. And we just keep going.
Top U.S. officials also pointed out that alliance between the Philippines and the U.S. have improved under the leaderships of Marcos and Biden. U.S. Vice President Harris said that relations between the 2 nations are stronger than ever, while Secretary of State Antony Blinken said U.S.-Philippine alliance significantly strengthened under Biden and Marcos' leadership. For his part, Marcos said the friendship between the Philippines and the U.S. has endured even the most turbulent times, particularly in recent years. He also said that relations between the two countries are currently on the upside after going through various cycles as in any relationship. Neil.
Daphne, so one of President Marcos's concern right now is regional security. So this makes me curious, Daphne, what is President Marcos's stand when it comes to the issue between Taiwan and China? And will he act should the situation between China and Taiwan escalate? Because as you know, U.S. has been very vocal of its support towards Taiwan. So with this visit, it makes me curious if the Philippines will be involved in any way should the situation escalate in Taiwan.
Neil, when it comes to the Taiwan issue, President Marcos certainly doesn't want to get involved or get caught in the middle of a U.S.-China conflict. In January this year, he said that the Philippines has been working on ways to avoid getting trampled by two competing superpowers, which of course he's referring to U.S. and China. The president also said that due to its location, which is just south of Taiwan and next to the South China Sea, the Philippines is on the front lines and could be dragged into conflict should the tension in Taiwan and China escalate. Should this happen, the president said that his priority would be the welfare of the 150,000 Filipinos in Taiwan. He also said that he would not allow the Philippines to become a staging post on any offensive action against any other country. It can also be noted, Neil, that in April of this year, National Security Council spokesman Jonathan Malaya said that the Philippines has no intention of interfering in the Taiwan issue. He clarified that recent military agreements with the U.S. Were not designed to launch any offensive action against China. Neil.
Thanks, Daphne. That's Daphne Galvez reporting live from Washington, D.C. Independent pandemic monitor OCTA Research says the COVID-19 positivity rate in Metro Manila further rose to 18.8%. Jean Mangaluz has the report.
The COVID-19 positivity rate in the National Capital Region is now at 18.8%, according to the latest update from OCTA Research fellow Guido David. Last week, Metro Manila's positivity rate was at 11.7%. The current positivity rate in NCR is more than thrice the ideal threshold set by the World Health Organization. Meanwhile, the COVID-19 positivity rate nationwide is now at 15.9%, based on the 843 new cases documented by the DOH on Tuesday. The DOH said that there are currently 7,037 active COVID-19 cases nationwide. The Philippines has logged a total of 4,095,468 COVID-19 cases in total, with 4,021,987 recoveries and 66,444 deaths as of Tuesday. Due to the steady rise in COVID-19's infections since March, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has mauled imposing a mandatory face mask use in the country. However, the Department of Health said that reinstating the face mask mandate was unnecessary and people should adapt to the virus without fluctuating policies. The Health Department added that the country's health utilization rate remains at low risk because of the wall of immunity due to vaccination. This is Jean Mangaluz reporting for INQUIRER.net.
Malacanang says pharmaceutical and biotechnology company Moderna will set up a vaccine-making facility in the Philippines, which will serve the entire Asia-Pacific region. According to the Presidential Communications Office, Moderna officials told President Bongbong Marcos of their move to set up a vaccine-making facility in the country during a meeting with Philippine officials at the Blair House in Washington. The PCO says Moderna is set to build a shared service facility for pharmacovigilance to provide more job opportunities to health professionals in the country. According to Moderna Senior Vice President and General Manager Patrick Bergstedt, there are other countries that offered shared services with Moderna, but they have chosen the Philippines as the perfect location for their third shared service facility in the world. The facility is expected to employ around 50 staff composed of health professionals with their shortlisted office location either in Makati or at the Bonifacio Global City in Taguig. Moderna was among the pharmaceutical firms that pioneered the production of COVID-19 vaccines, which were distributed to the Philippines at the height of the pandemic. The Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines says it successfully completed its first scheduled maintenance activity on its air navigation system without any flight disruptions. Maintenance work was scheduled for May 3 from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Manila International Airport Authority says it did not record any flight delays caused by the 2-hour maintenance. This comes just a few days after a power outage struck the Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal 3 on Monday. A second maintenance is scheduled on May 17 from 12 midnight to 6 a.m. with the entire Philippine airspace set to be shut down for the entire duration. Meanwhile, following the preventive suspension of MIAA General Manager Cesar Chong, Senior Assistant General Manager Brian Ko will serve as the officer in charge of the MIAA. In a television interview, Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista says Ko will head the agency while Chong is suspended. Chong was placed on preventive suspension due to an anonymous grave abuse of authority complaint. According to Chong, he was suspended for previously reassigning certain MIAA employees, which he says are part of efforts to improve airport operations. At least 4 passengers were injured after a defective train on the MRT-3 activated its automatic emergency brake while on its way to Boni Station in Mandaluyong City. In an advisory, the MRT-3 management says the train's automatic train protection system activated its emergency brakes at 9:08 a.m. in order to stop a defective index while heading towards Boni Station. A total of 4 passengers who sustained minor injuries were then provided with first aid emergency medical technicians, while stations and security personnel were instructed to provide assistance to passengers on board the train. The MRT-3 management says the defective train resumed movement by 9:16 a.m. upon intervention by onboard technicians. It adds that the train has also been moved for further troubleshooting by MRT-3's maintenance provider. For her part, Assistant Secretary for Railways and MRT-3 Officer in Charge Georgette Aquino has apologized to all affected passengers. Next on Inquirer Today. U.S. firms set to hire 75,000 Filipino seafarers in the next 3 to 4 years, according to Malacanang. Sugar Regulatory Administration mulls selling smuggled sugar in supermarkets. And Los Angeles Lakers top Golden State Warriors in Game 1. This is Inquirer Today. We'll be back shortly.
Samgyup. Salamay. This unusual grill shocked netizens because it's made of a coffin.
Ako pala po si Vincent Levy Dolitin, mamayari ng funeral dito sa town namin, Pigkawayan, Cotabato.
Vincent has been surrounded by coffins for 18 years since he owns a funeral home business. It wasn't until the pandemic when he thought of a unique idea.
Kasi nag-umpisa ito nung sir, yung pandemic, yung kasagsagan ng coffin dance. Doon ko naisip na pwede pala na gumawa ako ng coffin grill para maiba naman. Itong coffin grill, bigay sa akin ng friend supplier ko from Santo Tomas, Pampanga. Hindi ito used, sir. Balik kinuha ko yung lining sa loob, tapos doon na namin tinano kung paano gawing coffin grill. Pagdating dito, tinanggal namin yung mga lining sa loob, yung mga tela ng mga lining, tsaka nilagyan namin ng angle bars, winelding namin doon sa loob, tapos nilagyan namin yung mismong grill, yung ihawan, tsaka dito sa kabila naman, yung kabilang side, nilagyan ko ng cooler para sa mga inumin, para picnic, isahan na lang po. Yung mga friends ko pumupunta dito sa bahay, nagpa-picture, kumakain na kung anong gusto nilang ihawin.
Vincent's grill might be unusual, but he says many are asking if he's actually selling it.
Marami pong nagtatanong, sir, kung for sale ba from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Sabi ko, personal use lang po ito. Hindi pwede na negosyo ako ng iwan kasi nasa funeral po ako.
Aside from this grill, Vincent plans to make more projects, also making use of coffins.
Hopefully, susunod na plano, magawa din ako ng soundbox na kabaong at saka aquarium.
U.S. firms are set to hire some 75,000 Filipino seafarers in the next 3 to 4 years, according to Malacanang. Daphne Galvez reports.
On the third day of his official visit to Washington, President Bongbong Marcos engaged with U.S. employers of almost 200,000 overseas Filipino workers. The employers represent the hospitals, healthcare, and cruise line industry. President and CEO of Carnival Corp. John Paget said his group of companies is set to hire 75,000 Filipino seafarers in the next 3 to 4 years. Paget, who also represents Carnival Cruise Line, Holland American Airlines, and Seabourn, praised Filipino workers for their hospitality and competitiveness in the global workforce. During the meeting, Department of Migrant Workers Secretary Susan Ople presented to the U.S. firms the interests of 200,000 Filipinos who adhere to fair and ethical standards and principles. Marcos, for his part, thanked the American employers for their continued confidence in Filipino professionals and skilled workers. According to Malacanang, there are more than 4 million Filipino immigrants, both temporary and permanent, in the United States. President Marcos met with several business leaders in a series of meetings at the Blair House in a bid to attract more investments to the country. Among the firms he met with are vaccine maker Moderna, business process outsourcing firm Atento, solar technology and innovation firm Maxion, healthcare services provider Optum, and Ultrasafe Nuclear Corporation, which is a US-based firm global leader and vertical integrator of nuclear technologies and services. Following the meeting with officials of the Ultrasafe Nuclear Corporation, the President is eyeing cutting-edge micronuclear fuel technology as part of his administration's efforts to solve the country's power crisis. The President is in Washington for a 5-day official visit, which included a meeting with his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden. This is Daphne Galvez reporting from Washington, D.C.
The United States seeks to boost its infrastructure development aid to the Philippines by leveraging over $3 billion in public and private financing to support the construction of quality transport systems in the country. According to a fact sheet released by the White House, this was among the topics discussed by President Bongbong Marcos and U.S. President Joe Biden in their bilateral meeting on May 1. The fact sheet says the U.S. Agency for International Development is launching a new partnership to scale up infrastructure development in the Philippines. The U.S. Agency for International Development will also support the construction of high-quality railways, ports, and transport systems. Marcos and Biden also expressed their intention to expand air connectivity and modernize their nation's bilateral aviation relationship. U.S. and Philippine aeronautical authorities are set to formalize a technical aviation dialogue at the upcoming APEC Transportation Ministerial meeting in Detroit. Smuggled sugar may soon turn up in supermarket stores, according to Sugar Regulatory Administration Acting Administrator Pablo Luis Ascona. The government has previously allowed the sale of 4,400 metric tons of confiscated smuggled sugar in Kadiwa stores. Ascona says there are still about 6,000 metric tons more of smuggled sugar that may be distributed to Kadiwa outlets.
I think almost 6,000. So hopefully po, nare-release din po yun once it's proven safe and approved na po for sale for donation to Kadiwa.
However, Ascona says the legality of selling the smuggled sugar in supermarkets through Kadiwa will still be studied before its implementation. The target suggested retail price would be 70 pesos per kilo, which is the same price of sugar in Kadiwa stores.
We're actually finalizing po kung paano natin gawin to. Kasi this sprouted out when the big supermarket chains signified po na they want to volunteer a space. Libre po ito. Magbibigay sila ng shelf space na talagang maging Kadiwa outlet siya. So we will not only sell sugar but other commodities as well.
Days after dive yacht MY Dream Keeper sank in the waters of Tubbataha Reefs Natural Park on April 30, search and rescue teams have yet to find its 4 missing passengers, according to the Coast Guard. Coast Guard District Palawan District Commander Captain Dennis Rem Labay says that the 4 may have been trapped inside the yacht that sank some 1,000 to 1,500 meters underwater at the North Atoll of the park. The 4 missing are a Chinese male, a female dive master, and 2 guests. Labay explains that considering the depth of the waters where the yacht sank, it was not possible to conduct a dive search. Instead, the Philippine Coast Guard is doing a surface search while tracking the possible location where the yacht might have drifted. Addressing concerns of an oil spill in the area, Labay discounts the possibility, noting that the yacht was carrying automotive diesel, not industrial oil. He says diesel easily dissipates, unlike oil that turns into slick and stays on the water. Meanwhile, the 28 passengers and crew of the yacht who survived the incident arrived in Puerto Princesa City on Monday afternoon. On April 30, the dive yacht MY Dream Keeper carrying 32 passengers sank in the vicinity of Tubbataha Reef in Palawan. The Los Angeles Lakers take Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinals from defending champions Golden State Warriors. The Lakers topped the Warriors with a 117-112 victory as Anthony Davis puts up 30 points and 23 rebounds. Davis also found time for 5 assists and 4 blocks. D'Angelo Russell stalled a Warriors rally by sinking a tie-breaking hoop with 1 minute 24 seconds remaining. After Russell's basket, the Lakers scored only on free throws, with LeBron James making it a 3-point game by going 1 for 2 with 1 minute 5 seconds to go. Dennis Schroeder clinched the win by making a pair with 2.1 seconds left. The best of 7 series continues Thursday in San Francisco. Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz kasama si Irvin Santiago ng Bandera. Irvin?
Hi Neil at sa lahat ng mga kabandera natin all over the universe. Ito na nga ang latest Bandera Chika. Inisa-isa ng kapamilyahang actor na si Marco Bumabaw ang mga qualities na nagustuhan niya sa kanyang girlfriend na si Christine Reyes. Nito lamang nakaraang linggo lumantad ang celebrity couple at inamin nga sa buong universe ang tunay na estado ng kanilang relasyon sa pamamagitan ng pagpo-post ng sweet photos nila together sa Instagram. Ayon kay Marco, ayaw nga muna sana nilang ipagsigawan sa publiko ang relasyon nila ni Christine dahil tiyak na marami raw eepal at maninira sa kanila. Mas gusto raw nilang happy lang at tahimik na buhay. Sabi nga ng binata, wala naman silang tinatapakan at pareho naman silang single. At mas masarap daw na private lang ang kanilang relasyon at walang nakikiusyoso o nakikialam. Ang mga nagustuhan daw niya kay Christine ay ang pagiging mabait nito at walang kaarte-arte sa katawan. Masasabi rin daw niyang wife material ang aktres. Tanggap din ni Marco ang pagkakaroon ng anak ni Christine. Sa katunayan, bilib na bilib daw siya sa pagiging single mom ng kanyang girlfriend.
Well, she's very girlfriend material, wife material. Sobrang bait niya, sobrang wala siyang arte. Well, of course, I mean, she's not the first woman naman to be a single parent, and wala naman masama.
At yan ang Bandera Chika natin today. Thanks, Neil!
Maraming salamat, Irvin. INQUIRER.net wants to hear from you. Be part of our reader survey and help us understand how you want us to meet your needs. To participate, scan the QR code flashed on your screens or visit www.inq.news/reader survey. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.